We're in Collins Booksellers here in Wagga, and I'm with my daughter-in-law, Katrina Roe. And it's usually you interviewing me, but this is my chance to get back, Katrina. So I'm interested because today is a very special day. It's November 11th. It's Remembrance Day, and you've timed to run perfectly because this story about your dad and your grandfather fits that window perfectly.
Yeah, well, it is all about remembering, and it's about passing that baton on to the next generation because this is a kids' book, particularly aimed at primary age children. And it was Anzac Day about 9 years ago now, and I was marching with my dad, and he was 81. And it sort of occurred to me then that I realised that, my dad was in a unique position because he could remember the entire war. Where a lot of people older than him aren't with us anymore. A lot of people younger than him wouldn't remember the start of the war because my dad was 6 when World War II broke out, and he was 12 by the time it ended. And the other thing was just once you have children of your own and you've got a little 6-year-old there, it really does hit home. Like, imagine if their dad went away at 6 and they didn't see him again until they were 12. It's such a loss. But I think in the context of war, when so many people have died, it's not a loss that was ever acknowledged really at the time. And so it's only now, all these years later, that you can kind of look back on that and realise, that was a big deal.
So I think the particularly powerful thing about what you've done, it's immersive because we hear your dad's voice telling the story.
It's been amazing how well Dad has done in reading and telling the story because he's like an old farmer. I mean, he was in the agricultural industry for 50 years. He's not an actor by any means. And a lot of people kind of say to me, where did you get the actor from? And it's like, no, that's Dad.
Him.
And there is a beautiful richness and a resonance to having his 90-year-old voice sharing those memories.
Beautiful, yeah. I see it was called immersive and very moving and so on, so for people who reviewed it. So it's an audio book.
Yes.
And accessible. How do you get it?
So one of the great things about an audio book is that you can get it anywhere, anytime, very affordable, very accessible. So you can get it on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, audiobooks.com, anywhere where you normally buy your audiobooks. Unfortunately, we're not on Audible because you have to have an ebook to get onto Audible, and this is an original audiobook.
So I've been working with a lot of teachers, and this would be perfect for classroom because it's only short, so it's listenable in a lesson.
You can play it in one lesson. It's under half an hour. And I think it's great for reluctant readers as well, particularly boys in that 10 to 12-year-old age group, which is sometimes when boys stop reading. So it's lots of action and adventure, but a lot of heart as well. And so I'm really hoping that teachers will use it in the classroom and that boys who might not pick up a book might be willing to listen to this story as well.
And Katrina, I hope this sort of prompts people. I've run out of numbers on people who say to me, I wish I'd interviewed my dad or my grandfather, my uncle. So important to get these stories, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and it's so easy to do now, you can just sit down with an iPhone or a simple recording device and ask those questions, capture those stories, capture that voice of that person. So yeah, I think it's a good reminder, isn't it, that we all have stories to tell, and it's good to capture those for the next generation. It's called When I Was 12, A Wartime Childhood.
It's Nick Hutchins.
Yes, and I also would love to mention that it also includes the POW diary of my grandfather, which is very gripping and has all sorts of vivid detail. He was Lieutenant Colonel C.D.M. Hutchins. The diary was written when he was a major, though. So, yeah, it's the POW diary of Major C.D.M. Hutchins, and it's got amazing detail about what life was like as a prisoner of war.
Yeah, fantastic. So, perfect for teachers, perfect for this occasion, November the 11th.
Yeah. Thanks,
you.
Katrina. Thank you, Paul. Yeah.